And we are live, Willie, live from Mexico, somewhere in Cancun, singing K-pop Demon Hunters with a Bud Heavy.
K-pop Demon Hunters? What's that?
You've heard that song, Golden. It's like taking the world by storm.
Oh, no, I can't deal with loud noises. Listen, it was a rough night.
You've had a rough 2 nights.
Yeah, because first of all, apologies for having to reschedule the show from Monday. However, I don't feel bad about it because there's nothing.
Of course not.
No. Like, apologies, but listen, weigh-ins, and we'll get to that, but weigh-ins were at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, okay? Which means you have to wake up 6, 7. I didn't mean to do that on purpose. You have to wake up at 6 or 7 o'clock. Okay? So I wake up at 6 or 7 o'clock. I don't remember what time it was. But then you go through the day, and the event ended at what time? 10, 11. Then I got back. I had to compile all the stats. I had to write the recap. I had to settle some of the daily fantasy betting stuff. And so by then it was 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, right? I had to get on a flight at 5. I didn't sleep. For a day. So whatever.
Some would say, who goes to Cancun in the middle of January when you're seeding and ranking 24/7? But hey, if you're seeding and ranking in Mexico, it's better looking at palm trees than whatever's in PA right now.
I know it's. Here's another thing. Set note: I would very much like to be somewhere where there's palm trees, right? Willie's in Cancun. Let's see something other than a hotel room. But I don't know. I don't want to. The Wi-Fi is real good here. I don't want to mess with it out there in the ether.
No, but so we got Willie. Yeah, we try to do shows most Mondays. Every now and then there's a travel hiccup. But we're here now, and there's a lot to talk about. Probably, I think Buchanan is going to come on in a little bit for a Captain's Corner. He watched a lot of wrestling this weekend, and he's got a lot of opinions on different Twitter topics right now. But we have a ton of different wrestling to cover. Willie, do you want to start with RAF? Where do you want to start?
You tell me, pal. You tell me where we want to start. How about we start with RAF? There's a lot of drama. I mean, the show itself was awesome. Here's where I sit with it. There was a lot of drama in the lead up, and when the dust settled, the show was freaking awesome. It kind of made it all worth it. It was kind of a hectic day. I felt I was mad about some things. I was upset about some things. And in the end, the show was awesome. By the way, too, we set record numbers. How about this? Every time we do a show, we're number 1 on Fox Nation. Okay? This time, we were number 1 on Fox Nation on Saturday, the night it aired. Right?
Yep.
Do you know what we were on Sunday, the next day? We were number 1 again.
Yep, number 1.
We were number 1 on the day after. So our social metrics were good. All the numbers were good. It was great. Now, that doesn't lessen. I mean, it does lessen, but there's things we got to clean up, right? Weigh-ins, and we changed weigh-ins from day before to day of. I didn't like it, but we did it, and I think we're going to move it back to day before again. But now there's this narrative out there that we did it 2 days before the event, which is not accurate. It's not accurate at all.
It's funny that because of the MMA guys on the card, it is funny how much like MMA media covers it.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of these MMA journalists and content creators covering it that you don't typically see cover They're not covering Final X, but because there's MMA guys on there, you see a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, some guys just blew weight, right? Some guys just blew weight. Like Jo missed by a little bit. Jo tried, and I think it being day of, and early in the morning, I think really messed with him. Um, but he did try. Y'all just showed up. Right? Uh, yeah. So, who else? Stephen Buchanan. Stephen Buchanan was an unfortunate situation because I don't know how or why, but he was under the impression that he was wrestling unlimited. Apparently, I don't know why or how. I wasn't part of that. We reach out to certain people, reach out to certain guys, and they arrange the deal, and they arrange. But I guess there was a little miscommunication. That was unfortunate, but all's well that ends well. He wrestled. He looked great, by the way. He looked great.
He did.
So, other than that, it was a great card. What did
you make? Obviously, one of the biggest storylines or takeaways from the event was Bo. When Yol didn't make weight, Bo chose not to wrestle him, and I think it's the right decision.
Okay.
My take is wrestling. You both sign a contract to wrestle at a weight, and if one person doesn't make weight, like another person says, "Okay, he didn't make weight," So I'm
gonna paint a picture for you. It's NCAAs. It's the last day. It's the last day of NCAAs. And David Carr weighs in at 167 pounds or whatever it is because they get an allowance. And Keegan O'Toole weighs in at 172. What happens, guys? The match doesn't happen. You can't wrestle. And so there is no way if Oklahoma State is wrestling if Oklahoma State's wrestling Iowa and you want your team to win and Nasir Bailey weighs in overweight, there's no way that you are saying, you know what? Let him wrestle. It's all for the fun, right? Last year when Tegan Jameson weighed in, Tegan Jameson made weight a little out of protocol time. The wrestling world raged. There are still jokes about it online and in forums today. You're still making fun of Tegan Jameson making weight out of a little protocol error. But you still have that same vehement vitriol for somebody not wrestling to a guy that was 6 pounds over. For a championship belt. For high stakes, for money. I think what you're losing here, guys, is first of all, you're being hypocritical from high school. You wouldn't let a high school kid wrestle if he missed weight. And now you're talking about doing it at the championship level, at the pro level, for the highest stakes that exist. You could say the Olympics. Would you let it happen at the Olympics? No, you wouldn't let it happen. No way. But this, I think what's getting lost is, and I understand that there's a UFC precedent and they do it sometimes and they lose the purse and their belts off or whatever. But I think what's being lost is you're looking at it like it's an exhibition. It's not an exhibition. It's a championship match.
Yeah, and Bo said after, I grew up, and the way it is you make weight and you wrestle. And if you don't make weight, you don't wrestle. And, would it have been fun if Bo wrestled either Downey or Romero? Absolutely. Do I blame or fault Bo whatsoever because his opponent didn't make weight? And the funny thing is in Bo, whether it's the Penn State angle or, his kind of character he's playing in MMA, that's a bit of a heel. He got all the flack. Nobody said nothing about Romero not making weight. It was all just directed towards Bo, which I'm like, why aren't you guys mad at Romero? If you're mad at somebody, he didn't make weight. If he makes weight, the match is on. What are we doing?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. How about pros be pros and just make weight? You know, and somebody in the chat said, "Whoa, RAF isn't the highest stakes." Well, I disagree with that. But you know how it's definitely not the highest stakes is if you treat it like an exhibition. If you act like this is an exhibition, if you proceed like, oh, you know what, it's just for fun, then it will be. Then it will never be highest stakes. Then it will just be exhibitions, and that's not what it is. That's not what the aim is. So that is not to say that um, that is not to say I don't think that guys should just wrestle anyway. It's not to. It's to say that I don't know if I would have done it if I was Bo, but I understand a little bit. I understand a little bit. I mean,
Couple of what?
yeah, no. I mean, there's a lot more going on than just wrestling a guy that weighed in 6 pounds over. There's a lot of other stuff, right? There's
7, but yeah.
no. Why do people keep saying that?
Like I think Bo said it was 7 over.
He wasn't. I was there. I literally at every weigh-in. People were arguing with me about that online too. I'm at every weigh-ins. I take down. I have to report. The actual weights. Every card of every guy. He weighed in at 211.
There you go. There you have it. A couple of the match results. Armin teching Lance. It's funny because you and I both kind of picked Armin, even though we were like going with Armin here. But man, and then it's funny. Armin goes out and texts Palmer. Did not see that coming, but kind of did because we picked Armin. But I didn't see it going like that dominant.
That was surprising to me. I'm going to be honest. So one of the things I do is I write the bios for guys, and ahead of each card, we get the card set. I write the bios and I give them to the PR team and the social media team and the announcers and everything like that. They're used for a bunch of stuff, production. And they told me, hey, we're having this Armin guy wrestle, Armand actually, wrestle Lance Palmer. So I don't know who this dude is. And I look him up. He has 3 million followers, and he's the #1 UFC guy. And I'm like, but I didn't know nothing about him. But this dude, he certainly knows what he's doing. I mean, Lance is an NCAA finalist. He's not a novice. He might be long in the tooth. He might be past his prime. But there's one thing. If you watch that match, Armand knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
so I was super impressed, and some of these matchups we get guys, and I'm like, okay, like it'll be neat for the UFC fans. It'll be neat for wrestling fans to see what UFC guys can do, but they're not going to be great. This dude looked like I would not mind, and it's going to happen, but I'd like to see Armand wrestle somebody again. Wrestle somebody else.
Yeah. I thought Zahid rebounded well against Nate Jackson, getting that 4-0 win. I thought DeSanto looked like a madman, teching NATO 11-1. That was a really good win for DeSanto.
I'm so proud of DeSanto, and really nothing to do with wrestling. He's wrestling great. I think at 135 pounds, he's a fine champion for RAF, and particularly at 135 with some lead time. whether it's day before weigh-ins or morning of, whatever the case. You give him a little rest. I think he's a real problem for anybody under those situations. And but beyond all that, beyond all that, his maturation. He's come leaps and bounds. He is a fine young man, and I when he was in college, I was a little bit blunt about things that he did. So I was hard. I don't know if anybody in the media was harder on him than me, but uh, it is a joy to watch his maturation and the way he deals with it. He's totally under control. He's getting better at speaking in his interviews. He's with the crowd. Everybody loved him. I posted a video of how many people. I mean, everybody wanted a picture with him. I'm just really proud of Austin DeSanto, the man.
Yeah, he did good. All right, so that was RAF. Let's dive into some college wrestling because it was a very, very busy weekend. I guess we can start with maybe the biggest storyline of the weekend where Willie was officially right. Jax Forrest debuts for Oklahoma State, and he did it in, I mean, honestly, all of Oklahoma State, they absolutely dominated Oklahoma, almost as much as Penn State dominated Oklahoma. But Oklahoma State looked awesome across the board. Jax Forrest comes out, and we didn't know if we'd see him this quick. He comes out, gets the pin in like 45 seconds. The place erupted. You can't script a debut any better than that.
No, and the place was rocking, right? Man, there was so much going on. Jack's debut, it's bedlam. The place is packed. The production's great. Um, they're cooking in Stillwater, boy. They're cooking, and I don't care. Every D1 opponent is really tough, and the jump we see all the time. Top 10. Look at Harvey Luddington this week, right? Harvey Luddington's the number one guy in high school. Um, he took a loss this weekend to a guy that was like, I don't know, number 120 on the big board, something like that. But Harvey will be fine. The point is, there's a lot of times there's growing pains between high school and college. And so, whatever the case is, I don't care who Jax wrestled. He comes out and he pins him. And there's always, you have to prove it, right? And Jax wrestled for a medal at the World Championships, but you got to prove it. And he did that. And as I said, he's fine. He's a title contender. Um, he's an AA contender, and he is the best option for Oklahoma State. Will he wrestle?
Honestly, I think he does. I think at this point, I forgot who was telling me, maybe Corby or Pirate. Somebody was texting me that, the way the dates fall, I think if there's a Friday, Sunday duel, it only counts as one date. And so if you look at the 8 duels remaining, 6 of them are actual 6 individual dates. So Jax could, in theory, wrestle in 5 of the 6 remaining weekends and not burn his red shirt. But even still, like, at this point, whether you put Figs or Ramirez in there for the postseason, I feel like if that was the play, then David's going to get those guys matches. He's not going to have Jax wrestle all these duels and throw Figs or Ramirez out in the postseason. I just don't see that happening. If Jax is going to use 4 or 5 of the dates, I think we see him in the postseason.
Yeah. Listen, I cannot say with certainty what they're going to do. I the whole way along, I contended that he should. The whole way along, I contended that David and the team really want him to. It's in the ball is in Jack's court. I think Jax goes. I think
I do too. David's too smart. He's not going to wrestle Jax in all these duels and then just throw out Figs or throw out Ramirez without getting as many matches as possible, especially like Ronnie or Figs, regardless of who you're going to put in the postseason, if it's not Jax, they need to get matches. Neither are in a place where they can afford time off the mat heading into the postseason. So I think especially with the way Jax debuted and it going as well, I mean, you talk about going from high school to college that quickly and shaking off any potential nerves, anything else, and coming out there. And again, like I was talking to Bashada last night about it, and he has the link, so he'll hop on here soon. But, we were talking about it. It's so crazy. David Taylor's doing such a good job at building the culture in Oklahoma State where fans are getting more and more by the day bought in. They are getting happier and happier with the fans or with the team. There's just like, there's so much excitement happening. Everything they're doing with the Stilly Boys, and David's doing a great job where when you talk about Penn State versus Oklahoma State recruiting and this, like Penn State has the results, they have the success. It's a very easy recruiting pitch. David might be able to use a similar pitch in 5 to 10 years, but for now, he's got a lot that recruits are looking at, and especially the ones that are more, I want to be a star, I'm more social media savvy. Those guys are paying attention to this. Like you pointed it out, I think on Twitter last night, Oklahoma State Wrestling Twitter tweeted 7 tweets in a row spelling out the letters of Jack's last name. Literally, their tweets started with Forrest, 7 tweets in a row. Like, they're having fun with it, and they're doing cool things. And I think what they're doing in kind of rebuilding the culture is, I don't want to say rebuilding the culture because they've had a culture, but the way he's putting his own flair on it and the way he's kind of reshaping it, I think says a lot for Oklahoma State and Oklahoma State fans.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool that they spelled it out. That being said, who the hell was going to catch that?
Yeah, nobody.
There was no way anybody was going to pick up on.
No, you'd also be labeled a conspiracy theorist if you're like, wait a minute, Oklahoma State, the last 7 tweets spell out Jackson's last name. You'd sound like. I think we got the captain in here.
What's up, Doc?
What's going on? How's Mexico, dude?
Mexico's great as always. It was cool last night.
He's got a party band on.
I saw that, dude. It's great. I was going to point that out. The blue band is just absolutely classic.
It's like this is you go to everything's free. Free, but you paid for it. But like, so any restaurant you go to, you scan this. This is how you open your hotel door. But
cool. You had like an all-inclusive resort place.
Yeah, it's Hard Rock, Riviera Maya, South Cancun,
nice.
And you pay.
Dude, is there a casino there?
No casino. That would be a bad idea.
No, that would be really ugly. You may have to send a plan
last night during a concert, there, dude. I took like somebody was like, you know how it is. Like, hey, you want this pill? You want that pill? You want weed? I'm like, I don't do that stuff. I said, don't.
He does the same thing when somebody says, he's like, I'm not going to say this. Well, you don't want that stuff. But you know what?
Give me some mushrooms.
No. Listen, I don't smoke weed. I don't do any drug.
He says with his hat sideways like that. Mexico.
No, but I'll do mushrooms. I'll do mushrooms. And then they said mushrooms. Yep. And they gave me a stem. It was like a good one, like this big. And I took half of it, and I gave the other half. I turned around to somebody, hey, you want a mushroom? Yeah, I'll take it. And then I kind of forgot about it, and I'm watching the concert, and it's raining, and something, it's an enormous concert stage with billions of lights, and for some reason I looked up at the rain. And the rain looked funny because how the lights was hitting it. And I was like, man, this rain's kind of weird. And I'm like, there we go. It kicked in.
And then
kids listening at home, don't end up like Willie.
Hey, mushrooms are therapeutic, pal.
Oh,
Taz Robertson in the chat says, Willie, you're on air.
That's right, dude. I love
Definitely.
literally. I do love the way you keep it real. That's all that
What's wrong
matters.
with her? Mushies? The funny thing is, then they really kicked in, and I was like, it's crazy because I only took like this much, like this much, but
Dude,
then they
don't take
really
much.
kicked in. Then they really kicked in, and I tweeted what I tweeted, and then a little while later, I'm like, people are gonna think that's a joke. Like that was real.
No, nobody thought it was a joke, really. All right, so back to
All right.
Jax Forrest making his
So yeah, so
debut.
good transition from mushrooms into what you're talking about.
So back to the Oklahoma State
It's
Oklahoma
great.
Bedlam duel.
Yes.
What'd you think,
Look, I
Don?
mean, I tweeted about it yesterday. Bash, you and I talked about it, for a while yesterday. I mean, I think beyond the atmosphere looks insane. To the point that like I goofing around with the low single. I'm like, yo, can you hook me up with some tickets for the Iowa State match? And then several different people DM me and they're like, if you want to come, we got a ticket for you. So maybe the Oklahoma State fans don't hate me as much as I think they do. Or they're trying to lure me into a trap. But either way, they said I could bring my gun. So I think I'd be all right. But like, if you just forget being a wrestling fan for a second, like as a sports fan, like I want to
Yeah.
look. I want to go. Like I want to. I want to consume that environment. I mean,
Yeah.
um, what David is doing there is just off the charts to me. Super impressive, and I think it's an interesting long term strategy. He's smart, totally social media savvy. And and by creating environments like that and by doing what he's doing, like I just even love the subtleties of he wears that Stilly Boys hat or that Stilly Boys shirt at interviews and at press conferences. And I mean, I don't know if anybody listened, but he had there's a 10-minute clip from his post Bedlam presser on YouTube that I watched yesterday. And by the way, this blows up the entire narrative that I hate David because I don't. But the thing that I thought was a couple impressive things about that presser. One, there's a maturation process in him from last year to this year as a coach that I think is mind-boggling. Absolutely, I don't know if you could say people jump levels from a coaching perspective, but I think he's jumped levels from a coaching perspective. And he talked about his commitment to the university, which he should have when they're paying him, $1 million a year. But he talked about, his deep commitment to making sure that the university, is portrayed in the best light that it can possibly be portrayed in. And, and he's doing that in spades. Like the university couldn't be more proud. In my view, if I'm an administrator at that university, I couldn't be more proud of my wrestling coach. And I couldn't say enough times that they made the right decision in hiring him. But, the underlying current there is like he's talking to these high level recruits and saying, listen, you want to come to the most exciting atmosphere in college wrestling? Sorry, Carver people, but what David is doing at Oklahoma State, I don't think there's a more exciting atmosphere. And I'm not even an Oklahoma State fan, and I want to go. Like I want to go to this Iowa State match. I'm thinking
I
about going
agree.
just because I want to partake in that environment. It looks fucking awesome, and he's doing a
Yeah, I
great
agree.
job, and doing a great job.
He's
Love it.
covering all his bases. He's covering all his bases in the best way possible. He's representing the university well. He has skyrocketing, like unlimited optimism around that program, and it's not like it's basketball. It's
No,
wrestling. It's wrestling. Oklahoma State's premier program, historic program, is wrestling, right? So he's doing it in the most important sport at the university, and he's doing it at a time when the other sports are down bad. Like, right? Like, if after
Yeah.
the season they had, they lost
yep.
their coach, uh, a really terrible season. I mean, otherwise they are down bad, and David has one facet of the university at not an all-time high, but all-time energy high.
Yeah. People talk about like, how to grow the sport. We've seen that grow wrestling. And, I've been a very big critic of that because I just don't think it ever happens. I think, but this sort of weaves a couple things in. I think how you could potentially do it and how David is doing it, um, the production value of what he's doing is insane. And I'll give a shout out here to Adam Tarapelli. One of the other wrestling bucket list items that anybody who's a true fan should have is to go out to Clovis and to see the big one between Clovis and Buchanan, because the production value of that event for years now has been, I don't want to say
Yeah.
Oklahoma State level, but on the high school level, like even better than the Oklahoma State environment. That environment is insane. Tailgate parties, and they did it at Doc B this weekend. The
Yeah.
the production value of the finals at Doc B was like a professional sports environment. The kids came
Yeah.
out from that big lion, that's painted on the side of the gym, and it wasn't a large, like, like a Gallagher type arena. It was a big high school gym, but still a high school gym. And they turned that place into an absolute rocking production. And I think, honestly, really, I think that RAF is having an influence along those lines, because the production value of what you guys do with RAF is insane. And people can complain about whatever they want to complain about. They're going to complain no matter what. But the
Yeah.
one
I mean,
thing that continues to be amazing to me, that is upping the game for everybody, is what you guys are doing. I think what Adam has done for years that hasn't really taken note, and people should take note about it. What Adam and his brother do in Clovis is absolutely mind-bogglingly amazing
it's
from
a,
a
it's an
production perspective.
experience.
It's off the charts. That great
It's
word,
an
and
ex-
that's what it
and,
is. Like,
when
I want to
you
experience that
invest
at
all that,
Oklahoma State.
when you invest in all the bells and whistles and make it look important, it feels very much more important
Absolutely, it does.
to the aunts and uncles and the pure wrestling fans that are at like the Clovis Buchanan duel. Um,
Yep.
it feels higher stakes. RAF, you couldn't get any bigger production than that. That thing's a monstrosity.
Does.
Um, but the people feel it in the arena. It's a different energy, and it's not like NCAAs where every every person at NCAAs is a mega fan, right? RAF in Miami, I don't know if there was 6,000 people or whatever it was. Um, Not all of them are hardcore wrestling fans. They're entertainment fans, especially in
Right.
Miami. Miami, very clearly, that they love their live events, they love their sporting events, they love their combat events. They don't know who Austin DeSanto is, right? But they come out, and the production and the lights and all the bells and whistles make it feel like a major league event.
And that's what David's doing. And again, it's something that Adam has done for a while. It's gone under the radar screen. I hope now with Doc B, which I hope you guys get into that a little bit. I'd like to comment a little bit about what happened in the Doc B finals later. But what the production value of the sport, and you're right, Willie, it makes it seem like a super professional environment that raises the value of the game. And look, if you don't think that high level kids who like social media and like that kind of stuff, and their parents are not going to listen a little bit more closely to what David's saying now on the recruiting trail, you're out of your mind, because that's what he's doing. And he's really juxtaposing that versus I'd say the more grounded is not the right word, but the more subtle, the more seriousness of Penn State, which just come here because we have the best room. There's no question about that. We have the best partners. There's no question about that. And we're making world and Olympic champions here in a more of a grinded out way. Although again, if you've ever been to a match at Bryce Jordan, it's the production value is amazing. Just it's not as flashy. And I think that matters. And I think, that's a really good, smart thing that David's doing to kind of try and give him a leg up in the recruiting process. One last
It's
thing.
interesting. It's interesting. Rec Hall sells out every time now. Um, but it's interesting this year for the first time, I believe they're doing two duels at Bryce Jordan, and a lot of people ask why don't they do every duel there and sell 12,000 tickets instead of 6 or 8 or whatever they have at Rec. Um, it's a weird setup. Like they have to rent Bryce Jordan. It's like not
I
owned
didn't know that.
by Penn State. Yeah, it's weird.
Wow.
Mm.
There is a juxtapose, with the smaller, more, intimate environment versus the big environment. I think there's something to be said for that. Back on the Oklahoma State thing for a second. Um, don't know if David listens to this, and certainly doesn't care than anything that I have to say, but my message to him is this: stay out of the portal, get the young guys in, because it's that young, youthful excitement that is fueling this year. And you can see how lights out these freshmen are, and these young guys are must see. And don't spend money on the portal. Please don't do that. Get a great young team and continue to create this infectious
I don't.
excitement that
Yeah, I
unbelievably
don't
has
think.
me going to Stillwater this year to see this match on the first.
I think you're right. I wouldn't mess around with the portal that much. That being said, like I think David did to start because frankly he didn't have his guys in there, right? So he got a guy here and got a guy there. But I think long term, number one, I don't think he should. Number two, I don't think he will have to.
Not going to. No.
And number three, I I don't think he will.
He's got the opposite problem now, which is he's got multiple guys at multiple places, and
Yeah,
it's going to be
you
interesting to
know,
see
and,
how
and
he manages his roster.
I think like I think culture I think culture is key for Kale, and I think David saw that. Um,
Totally.
and I think David knows that. And the dangers, the dangers of the portal aren't simply will this guy work out, will this guy not work out, how good is this guy? We have a hole to fill. The danger is this guy that spent 3 4 years somewhere else. He's coming in our program. He is an unknown culture wise. You
Yeah.
know,
Love what they're doing, man. I mean, and Jax just oozes that youthful excitement, exuberance, and I think you were right from the get go. I think to the extent that Jax was questioning, well, should I compete this year? Should I go to NCAA's? I mean, after Sunday, I'm sure he walks off that mat saying, "Yeah, I'm a title contender, and I want to bring
it's a
home a gold medal for
it's
this
a weird
university." There's no
thing.
question about it.
It's a weird thing too. Like some of these guys, no matter how good they are, they're not. You know, there's a guy. There's people like D Lockett that's like, I'm going, I'm wrestling, and it kind of sounded like David was like, I don't know, we'll see, and D was like, I want to really wrestle, I want to wrestle, and he's over the moon confident. Um, there's guys that are other way. There's guys that are ranked 1 and 2 in the country, and they're like, man, I don't know, man. I think I might need it here. I remember Mason Beckman was a multiple time state champ, won Ironman once or twice. I mean, he won everywhere. Super 32. I mean, the guy was 1 or 2 in the country, and he went to Lehigh, and they thought about wrestling him. He literally called me and said, "Willie, do you think I'm ready?" I'm like, "What? What? What are you talking about?" Yeah, you're gonna kick ass. You're gonna be fun. You're gonna be great. And then I called like Santoro or somebody that was on the staff, and I'm like, uh, Mason's like questioning, it, and they're like, we know he's really good, and like we need to like. They literally got him with like a sports psychologist, and when he started, then he was fine. He was great. He was good, but in the beginning, uh, as good as he was not sure that he was ready for the jump. And as good as Jax is, maybe he was like, I don't know, maybe I need a year. And he said it himself, like test the waters. What does that mean? That means he wants to see how he does. He was as good as Jax is. I don't know that he was very much convinced that the jump was going to be easy.
Yeah. It's funny in the in that Taylor presser that I was telling you about. Someone asked him, they're like, when did you decide that he was ready to go for Bedlam? And David kind of smiled. It was a great line. He's like, June, which I thought was great. A great response. And
That's a really key quote. That's interesting.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'll send you the link to the presser. It's actually 10 minutes. It's a quick watch, but it's really, again, I think we'll talk about it in the group chat, I'm sure, but I think you'll agree with me that it really, I then automatically clicked over to his press conference when he was hired, and you could just see the difference in how
Yeah.
comfortable he is as a coach now than when he was just a beginner. Super impressive. Love to see it. I think it's great for the sport. I think it's great to be a fan, and I think what they're doing is absolutely awesome. And I guess Jack's passed the test, so Hey,
Yeah.
offshoot to this, Will, what you're thinking now? Again, kind of these unintended or these intended consequences. Uh, any thoughts on whether Melvin Miller now reclassifies and ends up going to Virginia Tech next year, seeing what his teammate kind of is doing,
I
or
don't
his
know.
former teammate now, I guess?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't. I think he's ready. I think Melvin's ready.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's a possibility.
I mean,
I
he's got to
do.
win over the currently ranked number one 157 pounder in the country this year. This year. And he beat
Yeah.
Brandon Cannon. Right?
Yeah.
So
It's
I guess
crazy.
he's ready, but
I think it helps that Bo will be
you know,
there too. You're gonna have Jackson, Oklahoma
no
State.
question
Bo's
about
gonna
it.
be at Virginia Tech already. Like, wouldn't
I
surprise
mean,
me.
Seidel. I mean, what a lineup that would be next year. I mean, just
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
it's great to be a fan of the sport at this point. These young guys are creating this insane excitement that hasn't existed prior to now, and I absolutely love it. Like I can't get away from my iPad or my TV on the weekends. Just like, all right,
He's
what's
back.
next? Who's
John's
coming up
back.
next? What are we doing? It's great
Well,
stuff.
so speaking of, it's kind of a good segue because another good storyline from this weekend was Luke Stanich and Ryan Crookham back in the lineup for Lehigh in the Lehigh Cornell duel. Everyone was really back. Meyer was back. Simon Ruiz was back. It was a full stacked card, duel, whatever. And I thought it was interesting that Lehigh chose to start right at 33. And after these guys have not made weight all year, this is the first time you had Crookham off the scale first match against Ferrara, and then Stanich right after him beats Cornella. And I thought, especially off the scale, both those guys looked great. Like, we always have question marks when people come back off of injury. How are they going to look? I thought they both looked great. Crookham won his match 7-3, 2 takedowns to none. Stanich has that dog in him, wins it late 5-4. So I think when you talk about like excitement levels that are all time high, like even with those guys now back in the lineup, like both of those guys are contenders at those weights that were already like what's going to happen. But man, Crookham and Stanage seemed like they didn't miss a beat.
That's always a fun duel, and it's good to see those guys back, healthy, and good to see Simon Ruiz back. Uh,
Yes.
I was talking. I tweeted how much I love the annual Lehigh Cornell duel, and obviously it's even better when there's all systems go right. And I think that bringing back Stanich and Crookham and Simon, I think it just screams how important the duel is to both squads.
Yeah,
Is
and
Rosinski injured? Do you guys know? Or the only thing I missed from that duel was I'd love to have seen, Meyer and Rosinski. I think that would have been kind of a little
I
bit of
don't
an
know what his
interesting
deal
tell.
is. I don't know what his deal is.
He got
Prignola did look
crunched
awesome too in that duel.
he got crunched by the Hulk that is PJ Duke, but I hope he's back, and I hope he comes back for the postseason. Rosinski's super fun guy to watch too. But yeah, lots of
What
jersey in
else?
that duel too, which is great.
What
Yes,
You know,
else?
somebody,
Iowa,
somebody, some-
Wisconsin.
tweeted too about Crookham. Like it's true. Like every time you watch him, I like shudder as he puts his knees in these crazy positions, and like, man, I just, oh God, But I kind of an undercurrent to that, with the Stanich thing. Yeah, Stanich, Jersey dog for sure. But dude, like Cornella is legit too. And that adds another flair to that,
Yeah.
41-pound weight class where you think, Mendez, I think, is a step above everybody else. And, I think at one point, I'm thinking, can Vega actually beat him after the Vega Brock thing? And then Vega goes out and like wins kind of a mundane 3-1 match on Sunday. And I'm like, first match back after a long layoff. It's like, the young guys are, it seems like they're either like white hot or you're like, they're a young guy. I'm not sure they can do it. But I think, adding Cornella to that mix, 41 becomes pretty interesting at the to me at the like the 2 through 6 or 7 spots. Not really sure. Have to see what Crystal Ball has to say about that when you do the update.
Yeah. That some of these, it's funny. Vega comes out like a you know bolt of lightning and hits the NCAA scene as a true freshman, killing everybody, pinning national finalists, and then he wins 3-1. It's like I don't know, Is he really that good? Like, what's wrong with him? Nothing's wrong. It's college
Nothing
wrestling.
wrong. Correct. Exactly right.
Willie, so
Exactly
I mean,
right.
it's kind of. I mean, I was just looking. So you had Crookham third at 133 in the last crystal ball, and Stanich 4 at 141. Do you see those guys kind of now that they return look good, kind of in that same spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think Crookham's certainly a factor. I mean, I will still pick Mendez, but
Of course.
at this point, to me, I mean Mendez. Who am I talking about?
41.
Right, Crookham's
Stanich.
34. Stanich, listen, Stanich. I think he's in that tier. I don't know. I'm not going to take anybody to beat Mendez. You know,
If you
at
have Mendez
33.
Stanich final, Mendez Stanich final is like the ultimate dog versus the ultimate dog, which because Mendez is such a dog,
Yeah,
and so is
yeah,
Stanich. It's just great.
yeah. I think I love Luke Stanich. I love him, but I think that the dog that I think they're very similar, but I think Jesse has a little bit more arsenal. You
Yeah,
know, I think
100%.
agree.
so. So, yeah. Well, who do I have in front of? Who do I have in front of? Who do I have at 33?
At 33, you have Blaze winning it, Bird runner up, Crookham third, Davino 4, Drake 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think Crookham's for sure a title contender, especially looking healthy. We needed to see him back, and I don't know. What do you think? You think Crookham's a title contender?
I think he's a title contender. Yeah, I think he's right there. I mean, it's you have the. I think Bird has obviously proven that he can do it. He did it last year. I think Blaze is. He's blazing through the field. I think he's right there. I think Crookham has proven he's right at the top as well. And Davino, I mean, it's going to be an awesome wait.
And what do you put? Where do you put Jax in that?
That's a
pantheon?
good question. That's a good
Right?
question.
I put Jax at 3.
Well, then who do you move down? Who do you move down?
My
Crookham?
3, I think I'm gonna go with 3 freshmen. My 3, I don't know what the order is, but my top three guys are Blaze, Davino, and Jax. Bird
Okay.
has the man strength and the experience, but other than Starachi and actually in Stephen Buchanan, I shouldn't say that. I mean the 60-year seniors at the NCAA tournament
That's so
in the
crazy
recent
because
past haven't really panned out.
and I'm not saying it's wrong, but you're putting 3 freshmen. Um, Blaze is a true.
So is Jax. Jax is basically a high school senior.
Jack, Jack is a true. You're putting 3 freshmen, 2 of whom are true, in front of the returning national champ, a guy who has 2 wins over Vito, and Drake Ayala, who's been to 2 finals.
Yeah.
I am.
That is
That's how much
insane.
that's how much I love the youth movement. And you know what?
Yeah.
Of them all, I'm really interested to see what happens on February 13th. But I said this to Bash like at the beginning of the year. Of them all, I think the guy who has the leg up in my mind is actually Davino. Because I do think that extra year in the room will pay some dividends at the national tournament. I don't really know how I look at those 3 guys. And of course the seating is going to determine, some stuff here too. But like if I was to look at it now and say like the 3
Well,
best
we'll get
guys
to
at
them.
33 are those 3 guys.
What? When's Penn State, Ohio State? Like, when will we see
February
Blaze?
February 13th. In Bryce Jordan. Bash and I are going.
That's a Bryce Jordan duel, huh?
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
Is Nebraska Bryce Jordan duel? Because they have 2 this year, I believe.
No, I thought they already had one. Could be wrong. Let me look.
It wasn't Oklahoma the Bryce Jordan duel?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that was. No, yeah, Bryce Jordan, Nebraska, January
Nebraska.
30th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Husker
That's
Willie
what
will
I
be
said.
there. I know that.
Yeah, well, hey, Willie, you want to go to the Ohio State duel with us? No, I'm going a couple weeks before.
Hey,
Enemy territory for
I don't
Husker
know
Willie.
Um,
how's Kale
but it's
gonna
interesting,
feel
you know,
whenever
my
a big red block in
before
to wreck home?
before Sunday, I was arguing with myself on how Jax might not even be an AA contender. And then, just to support my concept of how exciting the atmosphere is at Oklahoma State, it's now rocketed him in my mind to, yeah, he's better than Crookham and Bird. But that's being a sports fan, I love that. So, yeah, it's good stuff. And it's probably
Speak.
wrong, but, always good to pick him a little bit different.
So speaking of Drake in the field, Drake drops a match. He was up late in the Iowa Wisconsin duel. He's up 5-4 against Zan Fuggit and then ends up losing 6-5. Willie, did you watch that one? It was a really weird
Yeah, listen,
ending.
I didn't get to watch much this weekend, but I watched that one, and it was a really weird ending where Drake has a lead, Buddy's on top. Fuggit gets the first takedown.
Yeah.
Drake gets one in the third and is up 5-4 with about 30 to go, and they get to a restart. Fuggit gets to his feet. Drake drops in on a leg. He gets a count for not Matt returning because he gets a stall for
Right.
not Matt returning. Then they
Action
drop
continues.
down to the mat. Then they drop down to the mat, and it's a mandatory count because he's below the leg. So they get to a 5 count. So that's a second stall. So that's a point. And then Drake broke his grip. Fuggit gets out. It was sort of a disaster for Drake, like circumstantial. So he gives up 2. If he had to do over, he might just cut him, right? I don't know. Like, just get out of that situation. But Fuggit wins, and so Drake has had a couple losses this year that were really nip and tuck. That one wasn't the Frost match really close.
He lost 11-5 in that one.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Drake
is
You
4
know,
and
he got beat up pretty good by Davino. 3 takedowns to none.
did he?
Yeah.
I don't know where Drake fits, and so I'm not saying that Drake's losses are flukes. I'm not saying the Fuggit loss was a fluke. I'm not saying that Davino loss was a fluke. I'm not saying that any of his losses were flukes. I'm just saying that in March he could be different. He might not. But this is a 5th-year senior. I don't know. Doesn't it look a little bit like? Doesn't it look, the body language just look like a little bit like Drake is not like running through a brick wall, like maybe just pacing himself.
Drake just seems like, I mean, this is somewhat 5th, 6th-year senior sometimes happens. I mean, it's crazy. I remember you took a little heat from some Iowa fans when you had Drake 5th in Crystal Ball. And now, sure enough, like, yeah, 5th, 6th seems like we're at this point. I mean, he's wrestled 4 guys now that are top 10-ish. 3, definitely. And Lucas Bird, Ben Davino, Evan Frost, all top 10 guys. He loses to all 3. And now Fuggit, he loses to, and he's 4-4 on the year just like that. And I agree with you. Like, I don't think it's a nail in the coffin for a season. But at the same time, it's like, man, this, 4-4 mid-January does seem a little crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, he looks a little like he has a little bit of senioritis, coupled with the fact that there has been a massive injection of new talent in the weight. You got 3 new freshmen. You got Crookham back, who wasn't there last year. You know what I mean? Those things combined, Drake drops a little.
I think the one thing, this sort of goes against my narrative of the young guys, but it is what it is. Contradiction in motion. But The one thing about Drake that you have to remember is he understands how to navigate the national tournament. And I think that's something that
Yeah.
is not, again, not focused on enough. Like guys who,
Yeah,
and you
that's
hear
kind of
Kale
why I'm
talking
not
about
writing
it, you
them
hear other
off.
guys talking about it. No, I agree with you. Like, like the regular season is one thing, but navigating a 3 day, tournament over 4 days you know, in March, or a 3 day tournament, sorry, over 3 days in March is a little bit different than navigating a series of weekend dual meets. And I've heard Kale and others talk about it for years. Like, navigating the national tournament is an art in and of itself. And I think both times, maybe last year, Jake was kind of favored to be in the finals, but certainly not the year before. And he does really well in March. So I guess we'll
I,
see
I don't
for sure.
disagree with you guys at all. It does worry me. I mean, I love Drake. I love Drake Ayala. Like
I love
he's
Drake.
he's an awesome kid. I'm rooting for him. It does concern me. Like you're 4-4, and now 3 of his next 4, he's got Marcus Blaze this weekend. Then he'll have Jacob Van D next weekend. Then Chris Cannon.
By
Then
the
Ben
way,
Devino.
uh, not for nothing, and this is not Husker Willie, and I don't
If you
put
have to preface that, then you know what's coming.
Right. Then it is Husker Willie, but go ahead.
no. I just and I'm not saying that he fits with the other guys we're talking about, but Van D is wrestling really well. I don't know
He
if he
is wrestling
podiums.
well.
He podiumed last year. I don't know if he podiums this year for the aforementioned reasons, but Jake is wrestling really well.
Yeah, he had that weird pin early in the where he lost the first match of the year, and then it's all been winning since then. You know,
Yeah, and he was up by 7 points when he got pinned.
yeah. So again, I mean, and likewise for
Yeah.
Drake's got 3 or 4 very upcoming tough matches. Van D has the same exact upcoming 4. He's got Chris Cannon this weekend, and then it's Drake Ayala, Ben Devino, Marcus Blaze all back to back, and 2 weeks later Lucas Bird. So Van D is going to get put
there's
through the
three
ringer
guys,
here.
right? I mean, we're spending a lot of time on 133, but uh, Van D, AA last year, does he fit? Drake, finalist last year, down towards the bottom. But another guy we're not talking about really, even though he just won, is Fuggit. I mean, Fuggit had a phenomenal postseason.
Yeah.
Fourth last
And
year,
now,
yeah.
and now he just beat Drake. So don't count him out either.
No, and this Big Ten is
Let's
going to be
talk
so
about.
fun.
By the way,
Let's
Fugit,
talk a little bit about
that's your boy Nick Veliquette's boy. Fugit loves him.
yeah,
Went to the same high
Nick
school.
Nixa, Missouri. Nixa, Missouri. You know the number one high school football prospect is from that same high school, Nixa, this year.
Wow.
I forget where he went. He's a big old lineman. Uh, how about we talk a little bit about Iowa, Wisconsin? Iowa 23-12 over Wisconsin, number 4 over number 18, but it was a little dicey early. I mean, Wisconsin looked kind of upset minded early. They started at 97. There was no and Dean because he had a baby. Um,
I also heard he
Congratulations.
might have a neck injury, so
I
he
don't know
might be
how
out even
anything.
more.
I don't know how anything could injure that neck. That's a big neck. So it
That's
was.
that.
It
By the
was
way, that's because you don't have kids.
yeah. Luddington took his place. He lost to Wyatt Ingham, a pretty good prospect. I think Ingham's freshman, sophomore. Beats Luddington 10-8. So it started 197. It started good for Wisconsin. Keeter beats Amos. That was a really good match, I thought, except
Very good match.
I it was fun to watch, except the only frustrating part is both guys like got close to a leg, but like never committed. Um, there was a lot of good action and but there was also a lot of half shots. It was entertaining. Um, Keeter gets Amos in overtime, which at the time you're like, okay, not surprised. But then as the next couple matches unfold, you're like, man, if Wisconsin would have had that one, like that was a winnable match. If Wisconsin
Hmm.
would have had that one, this could be a thing because Nicolar Rivera beats Kian
By the way,
Hernandez,
Willie,
Odin Peterson.
also the only other thing about Keeter there is we had talked about on the last show too how Keeter has this gauntlet coming up and he has to win like whatever X amount of them. Like that was a must win. So when you're looking at his schedule and it's like now coming up for Keeter, it's Cole Marasola, AJ Ferrari, maybe TBD, Coy Hopke, Nick Feldman. Like he's got a gauntlet coming up.
Yeah. Very good point. That was a match that was very important win, like both in the duel, but also in the context of what you're talking about, this massive run that Keeter is having. So, Nicolar beats Kian Hernandez, who is in for Dean Peterson. Fuggit beats Drake, right? And so now it's 9-3. And if Amos would have had that one, it would have been 12-0. Peterson is in for Nasir Bailey. He beats Carson Exford. Exford's a freshman or sophomore from Idaho. And okay, so then Zargo beats Ryder Block. Ryder Block to me kind of looked like he hit a wall. Zargo gets a takedown. Block is slow to get back to the middle, and then he's slow to get back to the middle, and then he took a shot right off the whistle, and I think it was kind of his last gasp.
Yeah.
Zargo doesn't score there, but then after a restart, he scores a winning takedown. So, Wisconsin 1, 2, 3, 4 wins and an overtime loss in the first 6 matches. But then it was all Iowa after that. They have the hammers, Jordan Williams, Caliendo, Kennedy, Ferrari. They all.
I'm assuming, Willie, that it's going to have to be like a Thursday show because maybe we'll even, get the band back together and get fellers on here. We can all preview Iowa Penn State this weekend. After, it's funny, like there's so many storylines. Penn State goes out. Yeah. There's so many storylines that like this past weekend, Penn State gets its 4th shutout of the season. And it's not even like a main talking point because Penn State's just so dominant. But it does get me thinking, like, what would you set the over-under at? And again, we'll do a whole preview later in the week, I'm sure. But the over-under a number of matches Iowa will win against Penn State.
It's either 1.5 or 2.5, right? No.
Yeah. 1.5. By the way, before we leave the Wisconsin thing, just and not another team that I've been a little bit hard on over the course of time, but what a great turnaround! Last year they seemed like the program was pretty much dead. People were calling for Bono's head. Is he going to get rehired by the university? And then he does, and the team is looking spectacular this year in comparison to what they were doing. Love the turnaround and love to see it.
They look good. Even some of the guys who lost competed well.
Absolutely, they're in great. Look, they're in great shape. I mean, I love to see a great turnaround like that because John Reeder's a really good dude, and happy to see that for them. Big time.
So that's Iowa, Wisconsin. I did not get to watch Doc B finals. I don't know about you guys. I caught some highlights because it is such a premier event. Do you guys have any key takeaways from it?
I mean, I because of the situation with RAF, I was just following brackets all day long. I couldn't actually watch matches. I saw a couple clips, like you said, on social media. I mean, the big takeaway for me is how incredible Buchanan is from 6 to 150. They have a couple pieces. Sammy Seha at 220, who's only a sophomore. But really, their power is 6. They're the number 1 team in the country, and really, it's based on half a lineup that is incredible. That's how we were when I was in high school. We were number 1 team in the country, but it was 103 to 145, 140.
Yeah,
and then we had nothing. And so
But
we
you guys were untouchable from
we were
103 to
we were
140.
second at Ironman.
Untouchable. Remember that was
We
great.
tied Walsh in a duel. Walsh was number one. The first weekend of the year, we tied Walsh and lost on criteria. The second weekend was Ironman. We took second to Walsh there, and like a couple weeks later was Reno, and we won Reno. St. Ed's was two, and Walsh was like three or four. Um, but it was 3 to 140, and there was no room for error. Right, everybody had to perform high, um, and that's what this Buchanan team is. It's incredible.
It's
I
funny
mean,
when you tweeted yesterday.
Faith
The
Christian. They beat Faith Christian by 30 or 40 points.
when you tweeted yesterday, the Josh Lowe. I don't think I've seen the response yet. Who's the last, public, to be number one? Literally, the first thing I thought of is Buchanan reminds me of like Easton back in the day. Just that
Yeah,
gauntlet from early to mid. It just
it's.
they're so damn good.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy that like I can throw the football over that mountain, but
But
no, I
However,
but
don't.
give me the
I mean,
football.
I don't like to be that guy, but it's so reminiscent. Don,
it
you know
is.
it, right? It's
Yeah, well,
built same
I
just
just
with
said
my
it to you. Yeah, 100%. It reminds me literally of that from back in the day, and just like you don't need to say it. You were part of the team. I'll say it. Like, there's no question about it. And it's the first thing I thought of when I saw that tweet yesterday. I'm like, man, like Willie's asking that question, and he was part of that Easton team that was just, I'm a Jersey guy who grew up loving Phillipsburg, and it's like that was a slaughter that year, and Phillipsburg had a good team. That was just absolute slaughter. Um, yeah,
we
I mean they're so good, man.
we won our first seven weights 3 to 40. Won won districts, right? And in District 11 is so tough. Nobody's ever even come close to that, right? But we all won seven. All seven of us won, and we for the first time we wore white singlets in the finals, and the freaking like one of the first sentences in the paper in the recap was "Sailor, the tiniest snowball," because
See, we always knew you were a snowflake. We just didn't put it all together. I got to go back and get that paper.
We need that.
Um,
Yeah, we need that.
I watched a bunch of the Doc B stuff over the weekend. A couple reasons because I love Adam Terrapelli. I love Adam Terrapelli.
we love
Our
that. Listen,
we do.
I have the gimmick of the wrestling
That's
brain
Siebert's
and
boy.
everything. I have the gimmick, but bro, Adam
No.
Terrapelli is for sure one of the best minds, one of the best perspective type guys in the sport. I love him.
If you're on wrestling Twitter and you're not following Adam Terrapelli, you're
He's
doing
a must
yourself a
follow.
disservice because he is just absolutely spot on at everything that he does.
I mean, here
And
let me say something. Let me say something about Doc B right up front. It warms my heart as a guy that loves high school wrestling. It's the epicenter of my passion. Um, it warms my heart to see these PA, Jersey, Ohio, Oklahoma teams going to the left coast because for 2 decades, Cali had to come east. Cali had to come east. Cali had to come east. Bravo to the East Coast teams that are going out west because it's really good for the sport. It's really good for California. It's really good that it it cannot always be the West coming east. And I just needed to say that because I appreciate all the coaches from the East Coast that took the challenge, took the time and the money to go out west. Uh, Best Doc B ever, in my opinion.
yeah, that was going to be one of my interesting. That was going to be one of my takeaways is that you're for the longest time that's been an incredible event. but it's been an incredible event that's really West Coast focused with just tremendous California wrestling. Now we've got a smattering of really good East Coast teams kind of going out there, and I watched a lot of it because my boy Mike Jones's kids wrestle for Del Barton, and Delby was part of that. Um, but there was another kind of back and forth on Twitter about, like, where does Doc B fit in terms of high school events. And I think, Willie, I think you're going to see kind of a little bit to what we talked about earlier, like the production value of that event is going to draw more kids and more coaches to want to go there. I again, it's not that. Look, I think Iron Man is 1A, because no matter what we say about production value events, when you have a throwback to a small high school gym in Ohio, where the fans are literally sitting on the mat with some of the best high school wrestling you will ever see, that's Iron Man.
Yeah, that's a
Old
good point.
school
That's a good
blue
point too.
collar stuff, right?
That's a
And
good.
then you've
That's a
got
good
this.
point
Go ahead.
too, Don. We talk about teams. We want teams to travel west. Doc B puts the bells and the whistles together, and you want to be there, right? So
100%.
for any wrestling tournaments or for any wrestling events that say we want the best teams to come here, we want to have the best field that we can. Well, maybe you should take a page out of Doc B's book and make the production level higher. Do have some bells and whistles. Make people want to come to your event.
Yeah. Look, as good as Powerade is, right? I think the response something like, well, do you really think Doc B is as good as Powerade? And Adam responded, and he said, I think if you take the experience in total into consideration, it's the best high school tournament in the country. I'm not sure I completely agree with that, because I do. Again, I'm a old school guy from a little small blue collar town and grew up in a gym that we could barely fit 500 people in there, but it was small and it was intimate and it was awesome. And I love that about Walsh Jesuit. But you watch those finals, and you watch what they did, and how they put the kids front and center, and the crowd, and it's a super knowledgeable crowd. I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, like Clovis, like the Terrapellis, the before Buchanan opened, Clovis High School was a national power for the longest time. You didn't hear a lot about them because teams didn't travel back in the day, but that's a father son legacy out there.
Well, I mean,
Also
when we had
interesting,
Flow Nationals, there's another case, right? Like Clovis would always go to Ironman. Clovis would always go to Super 32. Clovis would always go to Flow Nationals. I mean, that's that program spending a lot of money going all East Coast tournaments. That's why I'm saying I
that's
love the
right.
reciprocation.
I do too. I think it's awesome, and I think the more great teams that continue to go out there, the better off they're going to be. Uh, the finals match. I mean, if you haven't watched the whole thing, the clip has been on social media of the mixer, but um, dude. And by the way, dude, I'm still looking for my cowboy sweatshirt from you. I can't believe I'm going to say another great thing about Oklahoma State on this thing, but dude, Rockland Zinkin is like must fucking see TV. That kid is like, that match was insane, and I love Cam. I love Cam Sons.
I
He's
love
gonna be
Cam
the
Sons.
next. He's gonna be the next Jersey four-timer. Lehigh has got an unbelievable recruit in him. He's another Luke Stanich type kid who's going to be a really high level AA guy. There's
I
no
love
question
Sons.
about it. But
That matchup.
I mean, Zinkin, the ankle pick that Sans hit? First of all, I'm not even sure that wasn't a takedown for Zinkin to begin with. But I think if you had replay in high school, that may have been different. But the ankle pick that Sans hit to get the first takedown, and then you just felt it like just billowing to the top when like Zinkin's just pressure, pressure, pressure. And I mean, the athleticism on that kid is mind-boggling. And to end it the way he ended it, it was I hate to say this is Jersey, but I think Zinkin said it in his post-match interview. The Sounds got tired, and he took the little Jersey tornado break in the end, and I mean, Zinkin just it refocused him, and that mixer. I had to watch it in slow motion because it happened so quick. Like, what an unbelievable final in front of his home crowd, in front of like his whole family. That was awesome to watch. It gave me goosebumps when I was watching it, man.
Sant and Zinkin are two of my favorites. Cam knows how much I love them, and Zinkin.
Love Cam Stats.
Zinkin, I had a good last year. I went to the the past 2 years I went to the big one, the Clovis Buchanan duel, and had a good time. Got to know Rockland Zinkin, and I like that kid too. And
dude,
the way he wrestles, he's a great arsenal. He has every component. He got dog in him. I mean, last week he beat Gray Burnett in a 2-1 match, right? I mean, he can win the squeakers. He can put up a lot of points. He can go stick you while trailing. I mean, that kid is the real deal, man. I mean, it just he is exciting. I love everything about him. I love the interview after the fact. I love the fact again that his family was in the front row. I love the celebration as much as I love Cam Sants. I love the Doc B. It just there. It was incredible. I've never been
incredible to watch.
I've never been to Doc B. And
that stuns me, Willie, that you haven't gone. That stuns me that you haven't gone.
We should put that on our calendars right now that we should go next year for sure.
100%. If I didn't have to be at RAF, I would have 100% been at Doc B this year.
It has become again. I'm not sure it. Well, it's a different atmosphere, but to me, it's 1A and 1B of the in-season tournaments, man.
There's some weird things that I've never been to, despite all the years in wrestling. I've never been to Doc B. I've been to some like interesting places. Right? I've been to worlds in freaking Uzbekistan. But I've never been to Doc B. I've been to Tri-State in Idaho, but I've never been to Doc B. I've never been to Doc B. I've never been to an Arizona State home duel. This is going to blow your mind. I've never been to an Ohio State home duel. Ever.
Really?
I went to Big Tens that was at Ohio State, but I've never been to Ohio State home duel.
I know you've been to Jersey States once because that was a great weekend.
High horn.
Horn High 12, baby. That was great. That was a great weekend.
That was a disaster.
Well,
I mean, listen, I opened the show with like.
Shout out my boy Fleischer.
I opened the show with some reggae festival music, Cancun doing mushrooms. I can talk about that. What I can't talk about is what happened that weekend at AC. You can't do that on.
Don will randomly send me that video of you and Holmes.
It's a great video. No, Billy Cat. It's you and Billy Cat. It's great. That's a great video. I told my girls we were in AC. It seems like I'm in AC every week these days. I actually canceled my plans for Friday. I was supposed to play poker in AC Friday, but I canceled them because I really want to be home for the Iowa Penn State duel. We were down. I've taught all my daughters how to play craps, and I told them that weekend, I'm like, they all know you guys, obviously. And I said, look, when Fleischer and me and Willie were here years ago, I said, we're sitting at the crap table outside the poker room, and a guy puts a bet on the don't line. So if people don't know about craps, that's you're betting against the shooter, and Willie has the dice. He's got this like winter hat on, and Fleischer just leans down, and he's like, "Hey Willie, see that guy over there?" He's like, "See how his bet is like on the front on the don't line?" And Willie, you're like, "Yeah," and he's like, "That means he's betting against you. He doesn't think that you're going to throw the 7." Willie takes his hat off, turns around, throws it on the floor. He's like, "All right, motherfucker, give me the dice."
You're betting against me? All right.
That was great. It became like super it became ultra wrestling competitive at the crap table. It was just great. But
Really.
getting back to the Doc B, one other thing that and Adam, if you follow Adam, he like tweeted out a bunch of highlights, so anybody can go back and take a look at his timeline and then take a look at the things that he highlighted, all of which you should definitely consume. Um, Kind of interesting, right? We thought we were going to get the rematch between Singer and Jeter in the finals. Both lost in the semis, and they ended up wrestling for third in a great, I think it was like a 9-8, like double OT match. Um, just shows you the level of wrestling that they have in California, and the level of wrestling at that event. You had two guys who, I think, going into the event, everyone's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see, a Singer and Jeter go at it again. And well, you did see it, but you saw it in the bronze medal match. And Adam made a kind of a, Adam's an old school guy who wrestled 47 matches, when, each year
Yeah.
made the national finals and then won a title. He's like, two guys who lose that are expected to win, and no medical forfeiting or anything. They actually went out and put it all on the line for the bronze medal, which I thought was great. Um, Jaden James also showed just how good he is, and
Fellers,
Penn
fellers,
State's got a legit recruit there.
fellers FaceTime me yesterday, and this is, was over the moon. He just wanted to talk about how awesome Jaden James is.
He's so good.
He knows I'm in
He's so
Cancun.
good.
He FaceTimes me. He's like, yo, dude, you see Jaden James? Jaden James is freaking awesome. Yeah, he's freaking
He's so good.
So he
And
had,
he's what an athletic family. His brother, who essentially carried DePaul Catholic to a football state title 2 years ago, is at Notre Dame. Playing
he
football.
So they're back this year. Notre Dame's starting running back was a finalist for the Heisman.
Yep.
By the way, when I tweeted Diego Pavia, so Real Woods is really tight with Diego Pavia, both from Albuquerque, grew up together. And he was at the RAF match, and I took a picture with him. I had to. I fanboyed a little bit, and I took a picture with him, and I said, Diego Pavia was robbed for the Heisman. I know he wasn't robbed of the Heisman. It's a joke. I'm with the guy.
Yeah, that was
anyway,
right over people's heads. Right over.
But the running back for Notre Dame was a finalist for the Heisman, and he's going to be gone. So Jaden James' brother has a very, very possibly could be the starting running back for Notre Dame next year.
It's crazy.
Nolan James.
Uber talented family.
No,
When the team, my kids went to DePaul, so I continue to follow, and they cheerleaded, so I continue to follow DePaul Catholic, despite
Is
the
that
fact
what his
my
name
kids
is?
are now
Is that what his
graduating
brother's
college,
name is?
but he's
Is that what
legit.
his brother's name is? Nolan. His dad's
Yeah,
Nolan.
Nolan James. His
He's
dad's
Nolan
name is
James Jr.
correct.
Okay.
Yep. He is a legit football player, and his brother is a absolute lights out wrestler.
Yeah,
one
let's,
one of the one disappointing thing about Doc B that I wanted to see that didn't see, Gabe Logan, who's one of my faves. Unfortunately, I don't know if he didn't make the trip or he didn't wrestle, he banged up a little bit, but I really wanted to see kind of him in that
He's
bracket.
been wrestling great. He had a really now he's lost some wonky ones, but
Yeah.
he's also been right there with like the number one kids in the country. He's really good. Let's just
And
go over real quick. Doc B. Burnaby beat Silva in the finals. That's 2 top 5 guys. Tyler Sweet was third. He's Tyler Sweet I have like 12. But Luke Lauren was 5th, and he was a top 5 guy. So you're talking about there was like 3 top 5 guys, 4 top 15s. Jorge Rios, who kind of came out of nowhere to win Super 32, beat Sean Kenny in the finals. He won Doc B over Anthony Garza. Turner Ross, Illinois commit, beat Silva, the cadet world teamer, in the 3-4 match. Rockland Zinkin over Sans in a classic at 120. Villasenor over Bachman in ultimate tiebreakers. And so you had back-to-back Okie State commits at 20 and 26. almost everybody that placed at 26 was a nationally ranked guy.
The
Ashton
better 2-1
Besner,
matches you'll ever see. That
Ashton
match.
Besmer, another cadet world teamer committed to Army West Point, beat Slater Hicks at 132. Moses Mendoza, Michigan, commit over Chris Lalonde with a breakout tournament. Came in unranked, placed ahead of nationally ranked CJ Huerta, Matty Orbetta from Poway. So good tournament from Lalonde from Colorado. 144, Jesse Grajeda, Cornell commit over TJ Veretti, Cornell commit. Drake Hoyman from Nevada, Purdue commit was third. 150, Mikey Romero, uncommitted from Don Bosco, beat Joey Bachman 3-2. Nick Schwartz, sophomore, for Del Barton was third in a pretty good bracket.
Delby.
Beat finish Schwartz finishing ahead of nationally ranked Arias, nationally ranked Sartain, nationally ranked Elias Raby. Chris Creason beat
Practice partners matter.
Yeah,
When you're
Chris
wrestling with
Creason
Jaden James
beat.
every day, those things
Well,
happen.
you could see flashes. I love this Nick Schwartz kid. I went to I don't know what tournament I went to last year. Maybe it was a duel, and frankly, I didn't know the kid. I didn't freaking know the kid. And I don't even know that he won. But I
It
saw
was
Nick
probably
Schwartz.
the Blair Del Barton duel that you called.
It might have been the
That
Blair
would be my
duel.
guess.
I don't know if he. I'm not sure if he won. I don't know. I don't remember the circumstances, but like
He's good.
his dad. So he's a freshman last year, right? And after
Correct.
the duel, I don't know why. I don't know why the dad came over to me and he said, "Willie, I love your work. Thanks for everything you do for the sport and for these kids." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "What's your name?" And he said, Schwartz. I said, "Is that Nick is your son?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Bro, where the hell did he come from? He is amazing, and how the hell don't I know who he is?" And he's like, "We really didn't go to a lot of youth stuff. We didn't go to a lot of junior high stuff. We just, stayed local most of." But I said, "Well, keep doing what you're doing because that kid's good." And you're
Here he is,
starting to
third
see
at
it,
Doc
right?
B, man. Oh yeah.
You're starting to see it. Like close losses are now becoming wins, and so he just outplaced a bunch of guys at Doc B. Creason over Austin Paris at 157. Jaden James over Shabazian, Maryland commit at 165. Zane Gerlach, a really good kid. I have him ranked. Kid out of Anchorage, Alaska. You don't see many of those, right? He took third. And another good sophomore, James Caruso of Clovis. I love that kid. He took fifth. Carini, this bracket was crazy.
Insane.
Carini,
The next bracket was crazy. Yeah.
Carini of Virginia Tech commit over Mason Ontiveros in the finals. Carini beat Singer, right?
Yep.
Karina beat Singer in the semis. Ontiveros beat Jeter, and so the Ironman final was re-wrestled for third. A rematch of who's number one, a rematch of Ironman finals. A Jeter over Nick Singer. So you probably have a new number one. I had just put Jeter in pound for pound. 190, Adam Wooders over Lad Holman. If you've been sleeping under a rock,
not surprised.
If you've been sleeping under a rock, get on this Lad Holman kid. I've been telling every coach about him. I actually reached out to KJ because KJ had told me, we're talking, and he's like, "Yeah, we need a upper weight. We need 84-97." And so a couple weeks ago, I reached out. I said, "Hey, look at this Lad Holman kid. He beats." I think he beat CJ Betts in the semis. CJ Betts was Ironman finalist.
Was the 1 seed.
And not for nothing, but in Reno a couple weeks ago, Carini, who won 175, was up at 190, and Holman beat Carini. I mean, this kid out of Utah, really tough. Betts over Singer for the 3-4 match. Wes Burford over Calkins, an Iowa commit. In the finals of 215, Moylan over Wiedemoyer. Well, it was forfeited. Moylan at UNC commit. And then at heavyweight, Effendian over Candelaria,
UNC,
Sunnyside. Sunnyside, California. So really great. The Buchanan won by about 40 points over Faith Christian, number 2 over number 1. Bosco was 3rd, Del Barton 4. Del Barton and Poway tied for 4. Clovis 6th. So just an incredible tournament.
Yeah. And again, the production value and what they're doing, and what Adam and those guys do out there is just, man, mind boggling. Shout out, by the way, too. They've been the sponsor of this event for like a really long time, and Adam will never. He's too loyal to ever kind of change it up. But Cliff Keen, it's the Cliff Keen Doc B, cool cowboy hats that they give as kind of one of the trophy side of it that all the kids want, with a little CK kind of headband type thing
cool.
on it. But
Really cool.
just a long-standing wrestling company that has
Also,
sponsored that event for a long time and does a great job.
by the way, I freaking love that valley. Like I would consider, for I don't want to get into the politics, but I would never move
You
to
definitely
California. I'll never move to California because of the politics. But
however,
politics aside, that Clovis area is freaking cool. I love it. I love it out there.
Look, I had some business out there like 2 years ago, and my wife and I ended up going out. I went to Vegas, shocker, but it's like a 45-minute flight from Vegas. You can't get a direct flight to San Jose from Newark. We went from New Jersey to Vegas, then went to San Jose. I had some business in Santa Cruz, which is about 2 hours down the road, and they call that area along the coast the Central Coast of California.
Yeah.
The politics there are solid conservative, down that whole coast. Not that matters, but it is the single. We stayed at the Four Seasons in Half Moon Bay. It is one of the most beautiful places on earth. The Central Coast of California. The vibe is amazing. The food is amazing. The people are amazing. It is a really, really cool place in the country. Really cool place in the country.
I look at houses. I look at houses all the time. That's like a hobby of mine, is like looking at houses everywhere. I mean, from Sicily to Morocco to the Central Valley. I looked at houses. I wouldn't hate living there. That's for sure.
No, I mean,
I love Zillow.
Hey, yeah, Zillow. Zillow is.
We've already determined we're all gonna relocate to the Azores at some point in the next few years, because that's like as amazing of a place as you'd ever get. But
that was the week in wrestling, pretty much. You guys wrap up the show, but like, tell me, because I'm so off the grid, kind of. What do we have coming up this week? I didn't even know Penn State Iowa was this week. This is how far gone I am.
When are you back?
I don't know. I got a one-way ticket.
Oh my god! Maybe never.
So I booked this. Like, I paid for this trip. I paid for this music festival. Right? It was like $7,000. And I paid for it a long time ago, but I wasn't 100% sure that I was even coming. I booked my flight on Friday or Saturday morning for here, one way. And I don't know what I'm going to do next. I think I might go down to, did you ever hear the town Tulum?
No.
It's supposed to be awesome. It's a resort town south of Riviera Maya.
Oh yeah, you know I have heard of it. Yeah, I wouldn't go there. I'd be heading back to the to the States.
I might
Listen,
jump down
but
there.
let me give you some practical advice here, okay? For 1 second here, all right? And people accuse me on Twitter of like oh you always suck Willie's dick. I don't suck Willie's dick, but I love Willie Saylor. Will always love Willie Saylor. You're one of my best friends in the world, okay? Do me a favor. I want you to come back here. You are in a foreign country, okay? They're like the Mexico is now putting troops on the border because of all the political bullshit that's going on here. Do me a favor. When you get off this podcast, book yourself a fucking flight to come home. Make sure you get your ass back here. Do it Friday, and let's get together for the Iowa Penn State duel and watch it. We can go to the, we can do some casino time. But dude, get your ass back to this country. There's crazy shit going on in the world. You got to get back here.
I'm thinking. Here's my thought process. I was thinking maybe find some stuff to do. Go like to Tulum. And like do something, go somewhere until it's time to go to Nebraska for the weekend that they wrestle Ohio State. I think they wrestle Ohio State and Penn State. No, Ohio State and Iowa. I think they wrestle Ohio State and they wrestle Ohio State and Iowa on a Friday, Sunday. I don't know.
Listen,
that was a thought. I don't know. Who knows?
Driving around Mexico is not the most. Is not something
Willie, that's not for 10
okay?
days.
Dude, this is not for you, okay? Make a fucking don't leave the inclusive resort, make a fucking plane trip and get your ass back here, okay?
All right.
We could go to the Doc B and rummage around the Central Coast next year. Like rummaging around, rural Mexico is really not a good idea.
Don's afraid for my life right now.
Yes.
I am. Yes.
All right.
All right, that's the show. We're gonna do.
No. Hold on. No matter what happens, unless I'm murdered by cartel members, we're gonna do a preview show for this weekend. But tell me, just give me real quick what
Penn State, Iowa. That's what I know. I haven't done a full deep dive yet of the weekend, but I know Penn State, Iowa is the big one.
If you go to Intermat message boards, it's great because it's always here. If you ever want to know, like, what's coming up, go to Intermat forums. You go to Intermat, you click on forums, you click on college. Pinned at the top every week is Seton Hall Pirates D1 weekend preview. It gives you everything that's coming up this weekend. Missouri at Arizona State Thursday.
Yeah, we're going to preview it all on the show Thursday.
I know, but let's talk. Army at Cornell, Penn State, Iowa, Penn State at Iowa.
Yep.
Purdue, Maryland, Illinois, Michigan State. By the way, there's still no word on what's going on with Poeta. The most recent thing I heard is it may take a while, whatever that means. I can elaborate on that next show. Mark that down. Michigan at Rutgers, Carolina, Virginia. I FaceTimed with Tony Ramos last night as well. I think that was pre-Mushies. Northwestern at Wisconsin, Nebraska, Minnesota. It's an interesting duel.
Listen, if you're gonna stay in Mexico, you should ask Tony Ramos to send Frank, his brother, down to fucking protect your ass. Okay, but at the end of the day, because he's a gangster, but and a great dude.
Iowa State Cyclone Open. Oklahoma, West Virginia, Illinois, Michigan, Lehigh, Princeton, Penn State, Northwestern, Arizona State, Northern Colorado, Cal Poly, Oregon State. That's what we got coming up. We will preview it on Thursday or Friday.
Get home
soon. Willie, yeah.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Always love you. Thank you.
That's the captain's corner. That's bashing the brain. No. Willie, go get home. By the way, how are you going to be in Mexico to watch Bills Denver? I got a friendly bet with Jason Nickel, big Denver Broncos fan. Bills Broncos Saturday 4:30. So it's going to be a good weekend.
That's going to be a great game. Go Bills.
Go Bills.